All right, folks. So Zelensky has lost the trust. He's lost the trust of the people. This isn't good. Now, after that big showdown in the White House, the negotiated deal is failing. And in turn, that shook up the faith that Americans have with Zelensky in this war. So I want to pull up this segment here because already the confidence from Zelensky and this war has plummeted from 72% to a whopping 48%. And you don't have to take my word for it, because when you lose CNN, you lose it all.
Holy Toledo, look at this trend line here. U.S. support for Ukraine is too much. Back when the war began, back in February of 2022, it was just 7%. Up like a rocket ship. My goodness. Up now in February of 2025 to 41%. And the clear majority of Republicans, and of course, Republicans are in charge of the U.S. government now, 62% of Republicans say that the U.S. support for Ukraine is too much. What a difference from just 3 years ago. I can remember, John, all those backyards in the United States with those Ukrainian flags, far fewer of them today, as Americans' opinions on Ukraine have changed dramatically.
What about opinions of the Ukrainian president?
Right. You know, obviously, if you would expect changes amongst the public on feelings towards Ukraine, feelings towards Zelensky have changed also dramatically. Look at this. Confident Zelensky will do the right thing when it comes to world affairs. Back in 2022, it was the clear majority, 72% through the floor. Through the floor by 2024, just 48% of Americans say that they're confident that Zelensky will do the right thing when it comes to world affairs. And GOP confidence has also plummeted dramatically. Now the clear majority of Republicans are not confident that Zelensky will do the right thing when it comes to world affairs. Really a real trend line, ones you rarely see in the American public when it comes to Ukraine and Zelensky. Confidence.
Now we're going to wind out a little bit here, folks, because first of all, will he do the right thing? I mean, when you lose those numbers from 72 to 48, those are devastating numbers that you can't recover from. I mean, it's not 2022 anymore. It is now going into 2025, all right?
Thing when it comes to world affairs. Back in 2022, it was the clear majority, 72% through the floor. Through the floor by 2024, just 48% of Americans say that they're confident that Zelensky will do the right thing when it comes to world affairs. And GOP confidence has also plummeted dramatically. Now the clear majority of Republicans are not confident that Zelensky will do the right thing when it comes to world affairs. Really a real trend line, ones you rarely see in the American public when it comes to Ukraine and Zelensky. Confidence in both going down through the ground.
Look, some allies of President Trump have targeted Zelensky with harsh criticism over the last few years, and it could be that that's having some impact.
Absolutely. The Republican establishment, the Republican electorate has moved as the Republican establishment and Republican leaders have moved.
All right, let's talk about the idea of a peace deal. And again, the way you ask this matters, but go ahead.
The way you ask it is important, so we can talk about this a little bit. So the poll question essentially is, do you support a Russia-Ukraine negotiated peace deal? The vast majority of Americans, this is what they want. 78% say that they support this idea versus just 16% opposed. Of course, as we were talking about, does this question actually get at what's going on right now? I think you would say that it probably does not necessarily get what's going on right now.
No, the question asked, do you support a Russia-Ukraine negotiated peace deal? Ukraine's not there at the negotiations in Saudi Arabia this week, so the people were not asked this. And I do think, in general, if you ask anyone in any poll, do you support peace, peace tends to rate pretty highly.
Peace tends to win. You rarely get 78% of the country agreeing on anything. They do agree on the idea of a negotiated peace deal between Russia and Ukraine. Whether the majority would agree on a Russia peace deal with Ukraine where Ukraine has nothing to do with it, that might be a different question.
Hard to know. Harriet, thank you.
Thank you much.
Now, that's pretty devastating. The fact that you do lose the support of CNN, the American people, it's also a sign that the script is done, that the order and the narrative is changing. Only 4% of Americans back Russia in war, but 44% don't back Ukraine either. So let's go ahead and pull this up here. So only 4% of surveyed America said they are backing Russia in the war in Ukraine, but 44% they don't back Ukraine in a CBS News.gov poll. So in the poll, which took place between February 26th and February 28th, 4% of respondents said that they personally support Russia when it comes to the war. 52% said they personally support Ukraine, while 44% said neither. The poll survey period ended the same day as a recent tense Oval Office between President Trump and Ukraine President Vladimir Zelensky and Vice President Vance, J.D. Vance. In the meeting, Zelensky and Trump clashed over U.S. support of Ukraine. Following the meeting, Trump said on his Truth Social platform that the Ukraine president is not ready for peace if America is involved because he feels our involvement gives him a big advantage in negotiation. Trump has been pushing for an end of the war between Russia and Ukraine, with U.S. and Russia officials meeting in Saudi Arabia last month. The meeting also resulted in blowback from Democrats, with Senator Chris Murphy saying it was an utter embarrassment for America. However, Zelensky did do a tour. He did do a follow-up, and it led to this very concerning situation here.
First, we will keep the military aid flowing and keep increasing the economic pressure on Russia to strengthen Ukraine now. Second, we agreed that any lasting peace must ensure Ukraine's sovereignty and security, and Ukraine must be at the table. Third, in the event of a peace deal, we will keep boosting Ukraine's own defensive capabilities to deter any future invasion. Fourth, we will go further to develop a coalition of the willing to defend a deal in Ukraine and to guarantee the peace. Not every nation will feel able to contribute, but that can't mean that we sit back. Instead, those willing will intensify planning now with real urgency. The UK is prepared to back this with boots on the ground and planes in the air.
I hope you heard that. Boots on the ground, planes in the air. Next thing you know, what? Is NATO engaged in a military confrontation with Russia? Does that mean we got to get dragged into it? Let's rewind that again.
And to guarantee the peace. Not every nation will feel able to contribute, but that can't mean that we sit back. Instead, those willing will intensify planning now with real urgency. The UK is prepared to back this with boots on the ground and planes in the air. Together with others, Europe must do the heavy lifting. But to support peace in our continent and to succeed, this effort must have strong US backing. We're working with the US on this point after my meeting with President Trump last week. And let me be clear, we agree with the President on the urgent need for a durable peace. Now, we need to deliver together. Finally, we agreed that leaders will meet again very soon to keep the pace behind these actions and to keep working towards this shared plan. We are at a crossroads in history today. This is not a moment for more talk. It's time to act, time to step up and lead, and to unite around a new plan for a just and enduring peace. Thank you.
Exactly. Well, that's not good because right here, this takes place. It's not only in Europe, but also Canada, too. I hope all of you heard that. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has claimed that his country is considering all possible actions and is not ruling out sending troops. Let me read that again. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, who's on the way out, resigning very soon. So when he's done, his actions are going to have long-term consequences, has claimed that his country is considering all possible actions and is not ruling out sending troops over there. His comments come after British Prime Minister Keir Starmer announced a new coalition of the willing to secure Kiev's positions should a peace deal with Moscow be reached. Starmer hosted an emergency meeting in London on Sunday, during which he acknowledged that while some nations have little to contribute, those willing should act with urgency. When asked whether Canada should consider deploying troops, Trudeau, in his brilliance, said that any scenario was possible. What in God's name are you talking about, you moron? Canada has looked at the ways it can best help. And as I said a few days ago, everything's on the table, Trudeau said, insisting that his country has been one of the strongest countries in support of Ukraine from the beginning. No, correction, that's the United States. As an example of Canada's leadership in supporting Kiev, Trudeau highlighted a joint effort with the UK and Poland, under which they provided military training to over 44,000 Ukrainian troops since 2015, an average of roughly 4,400 per year. He also cited almost 20 billion, that's 13.8 billion United States dollars, in multifaceted assistance to Kiev. However, Germany's Kiel Institute estimates Ottawa's total contribution at around 8.6 billion, making the fifth largest individual state donor after the US, Germany, and UK and Japan. Russia's foreign ministry spokesperson responded with amusement to Trudeau's remarks, questioning whether Canada even has enough troops to protect its own borders, apparently referencing US President Donald Trump's running joke about absorbing Canada as the 51st state. Canada, welcome to the family. And who will protect Canadian soil in the event of a northward expansion of the United States? Apparently, Ukrainians who fled to Canada from mobilization. It's kind of an oof there. That's a big oof burn. Stammer reiterated on Sunday that not every nation will be able to will feel able to contribute, but that can't mean that we sit back, emphasizing that the UK is prepared to back with its boots on the ground and planes in the air together with others. French President Emmanuel Macron stated that European troops would only be deployed once the situation on the ground is deemed safe for them. Then why put them there in the first place? He proposed a temporary, long months truce in the air, on seas, and on energy infrastructure, an idea that Moscow previously denounced as a Western ploy to rearm and bolster Kiev. Moscow strongly opposed the deployment of Western troops to Ukraine, warning that without a UN mandate, they would be considered legitimate targets. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov has said that such a move, which is primarily being pushed by France and Britain, would further fuel the conflict and stop any attempts to cool it down. What are we learning from this? What are we seeing from this? We are seeing other global powers instigate and call for this conflict to continue on. We are witnessing firsthand nations and countries pushing forward this ridiculous, pointless war. Enough people have died. You know, just a little bit of a reminder here too, because Zelensky did over the weekend, after his little back and forth with Trump on Friday, did say that he's ready to sign the deal. And that was 16 hours ago on Sunday. So just in case any of you might have missed it, here, for everybody to read and witness firsthand, for you all to see. Vladimir Zelensky has said he is still ready to sign a U.S.-Ukraine minerals deal after leaving the White House without it being agreed. So after all of this and getting Europe to give him aid and getting support from Canada, now he wants to go back to Trump and say, hey, I have a deal. That's not how it works. Trump wants a full-on ceasefire. He wants the deal. He wants the minerals. He wants the rare earth. But now is he being forced and dragged into to continue on with this conflict? The public, the American public, is losing support. CNN and senators and politicians, those that were once drumming the drums of war, are stopping. There's a new script that's being given out, new bullet points for people to remember. And everybody is sick of it. There's no way in which Zelensky is going to get what he wants. NATO, no. He doesn't have the support of the public and the American public, and also he's losing support of the administration. And now coming back and saying you want to sign a deal after what happened on Friday, you want to know what's going to happen. Trump's going to want an apology.